Have you ever felt the sudden sting of someone's words? Perhaps it was a coworker who undermined you in a meeting, leaving you scrambling for a response, or a family member who, without thinking, spoke in a way that cut deeper than they realized. Maybe it was a stranger in the street, or even a friend whose tone carried hidden disdain. In these moments, a part of you freezes, another part burns with the urge to retaliate, and yet another part quietly whispers that fighting back may only worsen the situation. It is in this tension that the battle of the mind begins, not against the rude person, but against yourself. Rudeness is one of the most universal yet underestimated challenges of life. It is not the loud voices or cutting remarks themselves that wound, but the choices we make in the aftermath. Do we let the anger grow roots inside our minds? Do we replay the insult in private, nursing our resentment until it becomes a heavy shadow over our days? Or do we find a way to respond differently, with a strength so quiet that it leaves the aggressor bewildered, unable to find leverage over us? This is the terrain where the Stoics show us the path. Stoicism teaches that our inner life is sovereign. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that our mind has the power to maintain serenity, even when the world seeks to disrupt it. He advises that external events have no inherent ability to harm us. Harm comes only when we allow our judgments to be dictated by them. In the case of rudeness, this means the moment someone seeks to provoke you is also an opportunity, a test of your discipline, a chance to demonstrate dignity, and a chance to reclaim power that belongs solely to you. When practiced consciously, this discipline doesn't just leave the rude speechless. It transforms every interaction into a moment of self-mastery. And here is the heart of the matter. Real life is messy. People we rely on, love, or see daily can act harshly when least expected. It might be a manager who takes credit for your work, a friend who criticizes you unfairly, or even your own partner expressing impatience at a time when you feel vulnerable. In all these scenarios, our natural instinct is to respond defensively, to assert our self-worth through words that flare like fire. But consider the alternative, the silent power of composure. Imagine observing your own mind, controlling your breath, steadying your voice, allowing the storm of rudeness to pass without claiming a single ounce of your peace. That is not weakness, that is sovereignty. That is the quiet art of leaving a rude person utterly speechless. By the end of this guide, you will not only understand why silence and composure are far more effective than anger or retaliation, but you will also learn practical, Stoic-inspired strategies to respond in the real world. You will see how every insult, slight, or provocation can become a mirror, reflecting not your worth, but the inner work you have cultivated. If you are ready to reclaim control, protect your mind, and meet every rude encounter with dignity, stay with me. Subscribe to Stoic Thrive, tap the bell, and join us as we explore how the ancient wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and other great thinkers can guide your modern life challenges, so that no insult, no matter how sharp, ever has the power to shake you again. 1. The nature of rudeness. Rudeness is a reflection of humanity's imperfections, not a reflection of your value. It manifests in countless forms: a sarcastic remark, a dismissive tone, a public embarrassment, or even subtle microaggressions that seem almost invisible but leave bruises on the soul. Life places us in constant proximity with people who act without consideration, who speak before thinking, or who allow their frustration, jealousy, or ignorance to spill onto those around them. It is tempting to take these actions personally, but the Stoics teach us otherwise. The words of another are the product of their character, not ours. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the futility of blaming others. He recognized that those who act with rudeness are driven by forces beyond our control: ignorance, fear, insecurity, and the weight of their own unexamined lives. To internalize their words is to accept their burden as your own. The moment we understand that rudeness is the reflection of weakness in others, rather than a mirror of our inadequacy, we step into a space of freedom. We no longer react to the insult itself, but observe it with clarity, seeing it for what it is, a fleeting moment of human imperfection. In reality, rudeness is unavoidable. You may encounter it from a boss trying to assert control, a client frustrated with delays, a family member projecting anger from a day gone wrong, or a stranger in public who sees you as convenient for venting their own frustration. Life will always provide these tests, not to punish you, but to offer the opportunity for mastery. Each insult becomes a teacher, each slight, a lesson in patience and resilience. How we respond defines not only the moment, but the long-term state of our spirit. The rude person, in essence, unknowingly becomes the vehicle for your growth. The choice to rise above, rather than retaliate, is the beginning of true power. 2. Why reaction feeds the fire. The instinct to respond is deeply human. When confronted with rudeness, most people feel an immediate urge to defend themselves, to justify, or to retaliate. The mind races with imagined comebacks, clever lines, or verbal victories. But the Stoics recognized that reaction often multiplies the problem. By responding, we hand over our inner calm and allow another's chaos to dictate the rhythm of our day. Epictetus reminds us that external events are neutral. It is our judgment of them that creates suffering. When a rude person speaks, it is our interpretation that gives their words the power to hurt. Consider your everyday reality, the colleague who undermines you, the friend who criticizes unfairly, or the family member who constantly interrupts or belittles. Reacting in the heat of the moment may feel justified, but it rarely solves the problem. Instead, it prolongs tension, escalates conflict, and often leaves you replaying the encounter mentally for hours, days, or even weeks. Each reaction feeds the fire, giving the rude person more influence over your inner life than they deserve. The alternative, however, is profound. By pausing, observing, and consciously choosing your response, or choosing none at all, you reclaim sovereignty over your mind. Silence is not weakness. It is a refusal to allow external forces to dictate your peace. Each moment of restraint strengthens your character and reshapes your perception of power. When you stop reacting to rudeness as a threat, you no longer give it energy, and in that space of calm, the rude person's words lose their sting, and the power dynamic subtly shifts in your favor. The power of silence and composure. Silence is often underestimated. In a world dominated by noise, the act of remaining composed in the face of aggression becomes a profound declaration of inner strength. When someone shouts, belittles, or provokes, the instinct to reply is almost irresistible. Yet, the Stoics teach that mastery over self is the ultimate victory. A calm gaze, steady breathing, and measured presence signal to the aggressor that their words cannot unsettle you. They become disoriented because they have no leverage. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Silence is the practical application of this principle. By not reacting instantly, you create a buffer, a space to analyze, reflect, and choose your response deliberately. This deliberate calmness disarms rudeness in a way that anger cannot. The rude person expects chaos. When they find tranquility instead, they are forced to confront the inadequacy of their approach. This is deeply relatable to modern life. Imagine a coworker who openly criticizes you in a team meeting, expecting embarrassment or confrontation. Instead, you remain calm, respond with a measured question, or simply allow the comment to pass. Your composure speaks volumes. It communicates self-respect, clarity, and strength without a single word of aggression. In every rude encounter, silence becomes a mirror, reflecting the chaos of the other person while highlighting your serenity and command over yourself. 4. Turning rudeness into growth. Every encounter with rudeness is also an opportunity for growth, though this is often invisible at first. When someone treats you harshly, it can feel like an assault on your very being. A sharp comment from a colleague, an impatient remark from a friend, or even a family member lashing out after a long day can ignite a storm of emotions inside. The natural impulse is to recoil, to respond, to defend yourself, and often this only deepens your suffering. Yet the Stoics offer a different perspective. Adversity is not an obstacle, but a training ground for virtue. Epictetus teaches that we should ask, "What is this moment teaching me?" When you face rudeness, consider it a mirror reflecting both the character of the other person and the state of your own mind. Are you able to maintain equanimity? Can you protect your peace without compromising your dignity? Each rude encounter is a test of patience, humility, and emotional strength. Every insult is an invitation to practice mastery over impulse, to refine your inner life, and to cultivate resilience. In daily life, these lessons manifest in subtle yet profound ways. A manager may criticize your work unfairly, but rather than reacting, you can reflect. How can I improve while preserving my composure? A friend may speak harshly in frustration, but instead of retaliating, you may choose to respond with understanding or remain silent, allowing space for reflection. Even strangers, whose words seem meaningless at first, offer a chance to practice serenity, to respond with calm, and to strengthen the invisible muscle of self-control. By approaching rudeness as training rather than attack, you gradually transform life's provocations into opportunities for growth, turning every challenge into a step toward mastery. 5. Measured responses that elevate. Silence is powerful, yet sometimes words are necessary. The Stoics were not advocates of suppression. They were advocates of precision. A calm, deliberate, and principled response can expose the emptiness of rudeness far more effectively than any shouting match ever could. Words, when chosen wisely, become tools for asserting dignity and maintaining boundaries, rather than weapons for escalating conflict. Consider a real-life scenario. A coworker criticizes you unfairly in front of others. You could respond with indignation, matching their anger, or you could pause, breathe, and speak with measured clarity. I hear your perspective, and I will address it constructively. This does several things simultaneously. It demonstrates your composure, protects your dignity, and leaves the rude individual unable to manipulate or unsettle you. They are left speechless, not because they are defeated, but because their usual tools, provocation, fear, and chaos, have no effect. Measured responses extend beyond words. A gesture, a smile, or simply maintaining calm in a tense situation communicates far more than heated retorts ever could. Aristotle believed that virtue lies in finding the balance between excess and deficiency. In this context, measured speech and controlled silence become the expression of moral and emotional excellence. By elevating your response, you do not merely survive rudeness. You transform it into an opportunity to display wisdom, courage, and inner strength. This is what makes the Stoic approach so applicable to everyday life. Whether it is a pushy customer, a disrespectful neighbor, or a friend testing your patience, your response becomes a demonstration of your inner work. You are no longer a participant in the chaos. You are the calm center, the unmoved observer, the one whose presence alone commands respect. This is the art of leaving a rude person speechless through mastery of self rather than domination of others. 6. True victory, mastery over self. The ultimate victory over rudeness is not silencing others. It is mastering yourself. In every situation where another attempts to provoke, to belittle, or to dominate, the true battle is internal. Do you allow external events to dictate your emotions, or do you act from the strength of your own reason, judgment, and composure? Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the mind is sovereign. No external force can touch it unless you grant permission. Real-life challenges illustrate this vividly. Perhaps your sibling mocks your choices, a manager diminishes your effort, or a stranger lashes out unexpectedly. If you react with anger or defensiveness, you surrender your peace. But if you respond with calm, with clear boundaries, or even with silence, you assert a power that cannot be taken, the power over your own mind and emotions. This is the essence of Stoic freedom. You cannot change the rudeness of the world, but you can refuse to let it disrupt your tranquility. Furthermore, this mastery inspires others. People notice when someone remains unshaken amidst chaos. It is not flashy or loud, but it is profoundly magnetic. By modeling composure and dignity, you influence your environment subtly, yet powerfully. The rude person may leave speechless, yes, but the wise observer recognizes your strength. Over time, these repeated choices, pausing, observing, responding with calm, choosing silence, or speaking with measured clarity, reshape your character, fortify your resilience, and cultivate the unassailable sense of peace. that every Stoic seeks. True victory, then, is not in humiliation or retribution, but in the consistent cultivation of virtue. It is in the quiet moments, the choice to breathe rather than shout, to reflect rather than react, to embody serenity when others embody chaos. This mastery cannot be taken from you, and it leaves a lasting impression far beyond the moment of rudeness. So the next time you face a rude person, whether at work, at home, or in public, remember this. You do not need to prove yourself through anger. You do not need to respond with equal force to claim your dignity. Instead, embrace the quiet power of Stoic mastery. Hold your silence, speak with intention, maintain composure, and protect the sacred peace of your inner life. In doing so, you leave the rude speechless, not because you defeat them, but because you embody a strength that cannot be shaken. This is the path of the Stoics, to live with intentionality, to cultivate virtue in every interaction, and to recognize that true power resides not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. In every insult, every provocation, and every moment of frustration, there lies an opportunity, an invitation to strengthen your character, refine your mind, and deepen your serenity. If this message resonates with you, join us here at Stoic Thrive. Subscribe, tap the bell, and continue walking this journey with us, where ancient wisdom meets the trials of modern life, and where you learn to thrive not by conquering others, but by mastering yourself. Every rude encounter becomes a stepping stone to resilience. Every moment of calm becomes a demonstration of inner freedom, and every time you choose composure over chaos, you step closer to the unshakable life that the Stoics have always taught is possible.